Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another video. We're back with another reading wrap up. We're going to be talking about the 16 books that I read in June. Didn't think that I read that many books until I updated all my stuff and realized, oh crap, I read that many books. So we're going to get into these books. I started June off. For me, I felt like I started off slow because I was coming back from Black Romance Book Fest. First of the month, I was at Black Romance Book Fest, flew back the second, all the book hauls and Black Romance Book Fest content. I just felt like I was behind. But I finished strong, so that's all that matters. So let's get into it. I finished Capri this month by Jaquel J. I read 3 of the books in May, and I finished the other 3 in June. So I did 2.5, 3, and 3.5. I did a review on this and I talked about this series being a little bit slower than Capone and Capadonna for me. I don't know if it was just a me problem, but it felt slower. I wanted a little bit more from Capri, but I feel like they wanted to make it where, again, I feel like the author wanted to make it where her community was always there and taking care of things for her. I wanted a little bit more of her handling things on her own. Like a couple of situations of taking down a couple of people, I was wanting just a little bit more of her doing it. But outside of that, it was still a good time. Still had a lot of laughs, funny moments. Immediately when I started Capri, I was like, I miss the Delgado so much. It's always such a good time. You know you're gonna get a cliffhanger. You know you're gonna get some highway pew pew. Still a good time. So I enjoyed it. If you love urban fiction and you've not yet dived into Delgado's Infernos, what are you waiting on? It is worth every hype that you hear people talk about. It's a good time. You're gonna get a little bit of suspense, the cliffhangers, unaliving, all that, but it's still a really, really, really good time. So read 2.5, 3, and 3.5 in June. Then I took a break from that and read Unexpected Past by A. Blossom. This is a sports romance, and this book actually came out a couple days at the end of May, and I didn't get to it till June. This follows the FMC. I can't even remember her name right now, but she's pregnant. It's not a spoiler. She winds up in a situation where the male ghosted her, and she runs into this male, Kellen Barnes. He's literally just won the Super Bowl. They run into each other. 2 introverted people just bonded, and her thinking that her pregnancy was going to damper whatever he was feeling for her, he was like, that's my baby now. That's my baby now. And he showed up and showed out for her. Really, really one of my favorite reads of the month and of the year. Whenever I do if I do like a top 20 for the year, this is definitely going to be in there. I rated it 5 stars. I enjoyed it. After that, I had to pick a audiobook. Whenever I have to go to Vegas now, I'm always looking to figure out what I want to listen to. I rarely now listen to music on my drives. Crazy. Crazy to even think about that. Now my life is, what am I listening to when I drive? I used to be a music down girl. Like, what? But anyways, I decided to continue the McLean Brothers book number 2. I listened to book number 1 in May, which was Let Me Love You. Book 2 is Let Me Hold You. And he's running or taking part in a summer camp for kids at this little community center thing. And the female, the FMC, she runs that community center that is owned by her son, who Leland used to play with in Miami. So he used to play with this son in Miami. They had a little rivalry going on. Now Leland is in St. Louis playing and is volunteering at this community center. The way they meet, you could feel the tension because he was very protective of the kids and he was like blaming her for not taking care of certain things. That's how they kind of met. The attraction, the chemistry, but also like the lingering thing with her son, knowing that if her son finds out, it's not going to be good. Like, the whole story is about her son, and it was a little annoying at times because I'm like, why do you care what your son thinks? But you get to find out why the son was so like protective of her and not wanting her to like date these men, because she's been in very abusive relationship. So you get to find out like why he's the way he is, but at the same time, couldn't stand the son. I did not like him. But that was my listen. It took me a couple days to finish it, but that was like my in between whenever I clean, whenever I drive audiobook. Next up was Plus Size Player Curve Book 2 from Danielle Allen. I read Curvy Girl Summer last summer, one of my first reads last year when I started reading. So I was really anticipating this book. This follows the female Nina. She was the friend in book one. Basically, Nina never saw herself like settling down with one person. She dates. She has different people for different things. So you have the funny guy that she dates. They go to comedy shows. I think he's like a comedian. She has the scholar who she goes and listens to speak. She has the romantic one. And then there is Russ. Russ is the guy that she realizes kind of has all the qualities that she's looking for. Obviously, that is nerve wracking for her because she's like, I've never thought that one person could fulfill all my needs. But here's Russ, who has everything. So you get to see them, you get to see her date, but you also get to see the issues that she deal with as a plus size woman who is like a fashion model. She's into fashion. She's like a content creator, but she has goals of becoming more than that. So you get to see her navigate the workplace, the microaggressions, baby, the comments that people made to her. But out of all of it, the one thing I admired the most was that she doesn't let any of it get to her. There was never a moment where she's like, oh, they call me fat and I feel fat. Like, no. She was very confident and secure in who she was. There was moments when she clapped back at some of these people. So you get to really see her career journey. And then there's Russ. It's a little bit of a forbidden situation, but let me just say Russ was everything in a man. Like the way he was patient with her, the way he was very like attentive when they're on dates, he doesn't check his phone. He had slower moments, especially when he was talking about her career and all the things. But once her and Russ was on that, yeah, it was up from there. Love this story. I gave it 4 stars. After that, I squeezed in a short read. Um, Daniel Brooks released a little novella, Just a Taste. It features a friend from one of the other books. Can't think of the names right now, as usual. But this was a quick read. It says Zaria didn't come to Love is Bay for anything more than a holiday weekend with her best friend Fallon. Yeah, she was Fallon's friend from Through the Fire that I read earlier this year. So it's kind of like an insta connection between her and the chef at one of the restaurants that they went to. So this was her spending time with the chef for a couple hours. Really good, really to the point, did what needed to be done. I love Danielle Brooks. Like she does really good with her writing and it's just very enjoyable. So that was my quick read there. All right, next up I picked another audiobook to listen to. I almost forgot about my Spotify credit. I don't even know if I used my Spotify audiobook credit in May, but I decided to pick Tempted by Danger, the Danger Family series by India Carter. Last year I accidentally listened to book 3 and I just never went back. It's just one of those things where you watch the latest episode and you're like, what's the point of me going back? But since for the last couple weeks, I've been seeing a lot of people reading this series and just talking about book 1 and 2. We're waiting on India Carter to drop book 4. So I was like, you know what? I need to go back and actually listen to the first 2 books. So the first book is Tempted by Danger. It follows Diamond and Quincy's. It's kind of like a workplace, a workplace forbidden romance, heavy on the BDSM. If this is not your thing, don't read it and say it has too many spice or has too much spice. Okay, this is what this book is. It's an erotica series. But really love the story. I love how um, Quincy was not afraid to speak up. She was not afraid to give it right back to Diamond, okay? I love a strong FMC who's gonna be like, speak their mind. There was a time in this book where she stood up to his entire family, and I was like, yeah, that's my girl. Love her down. So I enjoyed this really, really. I gave it 4 stars because the fact that I've listened to book 3 and know how good book 3 is, I gave book 1 4 stars. But I enjoy this. This was during the time I was sick. I had the cold, the flu. So I just kind of listened to it while in bed and I had a good time. After that, I read Reel's Love by L. Kaysen. This was a pretty long book. I think it was 500 some pages. Let me see. Where's the pages? 460. It felt like it was longer. But this book also came out in May. You know, L. Kaysen's the author of Demon's Dream, so the bar is up there. Reel's Love, I enjoyed it, but I feel like it dragged. That's my only complaint. Is that okay? So this follows the male. His name is Montreal, nickname Reel, and the FMC. Her name was, what was it? Everly. So Everly has had I don't want to say a pretty rough past. She hasn't had success when it comes to relationships. So she puts up this wall of no intimacy, no sleeping over, no dating. We just do what we do and you go about your business, which is cool. Well, the book starts with Rio realizing like, I want more from our little situationship. I want to date you. I want to go outside with you. I want to do things. And she's like, no, we agreed that these were the terms and we're not going to break them. And he just kept pushing in a good way, but he kept doing things for her to show her like, we can be more than this. And when I say she would not budge, and then she also has other demons from her past, and he also has his like family business drama going on. So you still get the plots. But the thing is, for 90% of this book, probably 93% of this book, he was chasing her. And there was so many moments where I'm like, okay, she's going to give in now. She realized like this man, and that was the thing. This man was putting in all the effort to show you what we can be. And she would not budge. And finally he was like, okay, I've done all I've done. And at that point I was like, yeah, it just felt repetitive in that turn where it was like he chased and then she backs away. He chased and it feels like they're getting closer, but then she backs away. And it was a lot of that for the first 90 something percent of this book. You do get a secondary love story. And I believe those two people are going to get a book separately, but you get a start to their relationship as well. But yeah, and then the last like 3% of the book, I felt like so much was like cramped into it. Like it was like, okay, now we have to wrap it up. So it was like, okay, yeah, I want to be with you. And then his drama coming to a close and her drama coming to a close. It was just so much going on in those last like 3% that I was like, okay. So I gave it 3 stars because again, it was an okay story. Loved the MMC. He was funny, but he was also like ready to defend her. And that's the other thing too, was that he threw hands for her so many times. And I was like, what else it's one of those where you're like, what else do you want from this man? He wants to love you. He's showing that he can be soft. Like this is a man that is tough, like will unalive, do all this stuff, and he's so soft with her and she would not budge. Ugh. But that's my only thing. I think that Demon's Dream, that story was so well written, even though it was like over 700 pages, you never got bored. This one, I feel like I got bored so many times in the middle where I'm just like, girl. After that, it was Juneteenth. I read a couple short reads. So I read One Last Puck by A Blossom. She dropped a second sports romance. This is a hockey romance, and it's more of a one night stand, but the MMC was like, I want more than one night with you. So love that book. It was good. Then I read Free to Love by Kennedy Ryan. I woke up that day and she posted this on Threads. It's only like 22 pages. It's a quick black love story, passion, chemistry, love on Juneteenth. Like the story's built around it being just Juneteenth and everything. And then, yeah, I can't even give it away. It's just a quick read, add it to your TBR. Then I dived into Mafia Misfits book number 2, Sinful Redemption by Asia Monique. Again, I read Sinful Vow a month ago or 2 months ago. So I was like, I need to continue this series. Love the mafia romance. I love the way she writes it. It feel balanced where you get the romance, the love story, but then you get the mafia drama, all the stuff that comes with the arrange, everything they do in their mafia universe, the drama, all that stuff. You get that and you get the love story. It feels very balanced. So I enjoyed this one. Again, another MNC that will do anything for the female. Like he just continued to show up for her every single time, and that's my highlight. My physical read of the month was The Divorcetante by Mia Heiseman. I talked about her previously. She is a local Vegas Black author, so I was excited. I met her at Black Romance Book Fest and picked up this advanced copy of this book. Love this book so much. I didn't know what to expect. Again, this is the first book by the author. The name tells you that she's like post-divorce. I didn't know much about like being a debutante. From what I Googled and what I read, it's like a high society. They are raised up to be these prestige women, carry themselves a certain way. The marriage that she was in was kind of arranged, that type of stuff. So here she is, post-divorce, the way the ex-husband did her. Yeah. I'm going to insert my review. Let me just insert the review, my little 2-minute review right here. So I literally just got done reading The Divorcetante by Mia Heiseman, and I had to come talk to you guys because this was the summer rom-com that I didn't know that I needed. Welcome to another episode of I Read It. Let's talk about it. Why you need to read this summer. The story, obviously by the name Divorcetante, you can tell that she is dealing with life post divorce. So this story follows the FMC Ebony Grace. She was a debutante. From the little bit that I know about that culture, and everything is about how they carry themselves. They have to be perfect. They have to be polished. All the things. In the prologue, you get to find out how her marriage fell apart. And let me tell you, at the end of that prologue, I was ready to throw hands because, sir, you did what? Not only did you have to deal with the husband, but the hell of a mother-in-law that his mother was. So now this is a year post-divorce. Ebony Grace is ready to put herself back out there. She hired a life coach. She is starting up her business again. Not only does she have to plan this wedding post-divorce, but the wedding is the ex-husband's younger brother. Yeah. So now she has to deal with that ex-mother-in-law again. She has to see the ex-husband again, his family, deal with all the drama, all the public embarrassment that this man caused her. Let me tell you, this book was the perfect balance of romance, drama, messiness, a good plot. I felt like it was really, really balanced. That's my favorite thing about it. This was a slow burn. Her trying to put her business back together and then her trying to find herself, find joy again, love herself again, just all the things. So she decided to document her journey to being Ebony Grace again. And then there's Lincoln. So Lincoln is someone from her past. They were friends for like 10 years. You get to find out how they met, how that happened, and also what kind of came between their friendship. There's nothing more heartfelt than a MMC that has been in love with the FMC since like the beginning, but had to watch her be with someone else. One of my favorite things about this book was that even though you get both point of views, you get the male and the female, and even though Lincoln was dealing with his feelings for her and trying to see if there's even a future there, the story allowed Ebony Grace to get there, to let her get there on her own without too much influence from him, not a lot of pressure from him. Like every decision from her finally seen. I felt like once the smoke cleared and she finally saw that he's been there this entire time and he's still there. Like I love seeing how she progressed to that. I love seeing how she finally like, okay, like I love you and I want to be with you. Like everything was her getting there. Also, another thing is the friendships in this book. Like, let me tell you, there's a section in this book that I highlighted that I was like, everybody need I highlighted this little section here and it says, one of her friends says, "This is your take back your life moment. Reclaim your identity." And I wrote that everybody needs a Whitney because let me tell you, her friends were ready to go to war for her. And then you have Lincoln friends as well. Like they were there for him, they were holding him accountable. You can tell from the tabs, I had a time. I really, 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 really enjoyed the writing. There were funny moments. There were plot twists that I didn't see come in. It was just the perfect balance and the perfect like amount of spice and just everything. It was like I said, even though it was a slow burn, I just loved the way their relationship progressed over the time. So if you've not added this to the TBR for the summer, I think this is for the girls that love a rom-com. If you love a rom-com, you're gonna love this. You're gonna eat it up. So yeah, love this book down. Really, really good. The author loved my review, and that review has been doing really well online as well. After that, I read 10,000 Hours with a Rich Menace, the Caselli Family, Book 1 by Jackwell J. I've been hearing for a while now that this is a separate series from the Delgado's Inferno, so I wanted to read it, and I was like, you know what? After reading Capri, I knew I wanted to wait to start Qasim, so I decided let me go ahead and read this one, and it did not disappoint. This was one of the funniest books I've read all year. Menace was a literal menace. I read this and I had my sister read it right after me, and we are still like, even today, we were still talking about this book and talking about all the little funny moments from this book. It was just so good. It was the perfect good time book that I just wanted something that was still slightly urban, but yeah. So this story follows Maverick Caselli. He popped up in the other Delgado's books. Anyway, so Menace is a ghost. He's the type of guy, you know, doesn't really have a lot of people in his circle. Like he has his family, he has one or two people he trusts, but he's not really out there like that. And his organization, Crime Family, they're like, you need a wife and you need some kids, okay? So they can take over your legacy when the time comes. And he's like, I don't need anybody. And they're like, you need someone. Well, he runs into some situation, goes down, and he is kind of like a little kidnapping, but not real. A little like a little marriage of convenience. I don't even know what to describe, but this was really a good time. Next up, I read Given is a Gift by Brianne Deney, another quick read. This is from her holiday series. So it's like a Thanksgiving situation, friend group, quick little love story. If you've read the other books in the series, you kind of know what you get from that. And then the last book I read for the month was 7 Days in June. This was on my TBR, and I was like, I cannot go into July not reading this book. Like, yes, I know I don't have to read it in June, but I wanted to read it in June. So I decided to do immersive reading with this one. So I was listening to the audiobook and reading the book at the same time. It was perfect. My flight from Boston was 5 hours. I started reading this like 2 hours before I went to the airport, and then the 5 hours on the plane was just enough time for me to finish this book. This is a very emotional read, but still a very like really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I didn't know like what to really expect. This story follows two people who had a very they had 7 days in June 15 years ago as teenagers, very troubled past. Like the male went to juvenile detention. He's been in a lot of trouble. He's been in foster care. And then the female, she also was going through a lot. So they bonded, and then it kind of just disappeared. It just kind of ended. Well, 15 years later, they meet in Brooklyn. Both of them are authors. And come to find out, this whole time, they were pretty much writing books about each other. So, so yeah, this was a really good story. I enjoyed it. I ate it up. And I'm glad I finally read this book. I know there's been a lot of talk about like your stack of shame. This was on my stack of shame. I needed to read this book. So that was all the 16 books that I finished in June. In terms of my July TBR, I mean, as I'm filming this right now, we are 5 days already into July. I've already finished one book and I'm on the second book. The first book I read was Violent Little Thing by Sean. It is kind of like a dark romance. So that was on my TBR and I've already completed that. I'm currently reading The Illusion of Power by J.L. Seegers. This is a new series by her. It's called like Passion and Politics or something. Stop scratching my... It's called like Passion and Politics or something like that. Very scandalous. Like think Scandal, but a black Melly with Olivia Poe personality. We'll talk more about that in my July wrap up, but that is what I'm currently reading. I have an arc of Heart of Stonecrest by Danielle Brooks. This is her new book, Small Town. That is next up on my list once I finish what I'm reading right now. And also have an arc that I've been reading for like over a month. It's called Summer's Echo by Robbie Renee. I need to finish that as well. The Best Man Unfinished Business came out on July 1st. I'm waiting on the physical copy. I doubt I'll get to it in July, but it's on the July TBR. And then Gray Huffington is coming out with Rome, which is book 5 in the Grey List series. So I'm excited to read that, but that doesn't come out till July 25th. And last book I'm excited to read is Cookies on Top by Bella J. She has like a novella that she did early on a couple years back, and now they're getting a full story. So she just announced today that it's coming out July 31st. So I don't know, that is probably going to go into my August TBR, but those were the July like releases that I was excited about. So yeah, those are the books that I'm excited to read. Obviously, I will probably read more books because I just saw that Jackwell J is coming out with book 2 of the Caselli. Who knows who else is going to drop another book? Because that's the thing with these authors. I still haven't fully dived into my summer TBR. I have a bunch of books that are just like giving summer vibes that I haven't even dived into. But anyways, that is my June reading wrap up. Let me know what you read in June and what you plan on reading in July. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, y'all.